Huh. I wonder if I can. I haven't actually tried this before, but let's see if we hostage take the Venerated Loxodon. Can we convoke it out? Like just tap all 5 creatures? That's insane, dude. Damn. We got there. Historic is now an actual format that makes sense to get into. We've now got permanent rank queues, and with the addition of Historic Anthology 3, I figured I'd try to play some humans in Historic. So I'm at this Esper HUMANS list, and we are playing Jegantha as our companion, which might seem a little weird since it's red and green. But in Historic Anthology 3, we got Ancient Ziggurat, so we can actually get away with just playing like Esper, Shocklands, a couple basics, and Unclaimed Territory and Ancient Ziggurat as our land package. And still reasonably about, like, when we hit turn 5, we are pretty likely to have something that let us cast Jegantha. And all the cards in the deck are kind of, just naturally meeting the deck building restriction that we have to meet. So it's kind of a free roll. Okay, so let's talk about the actual deck here. At the 2-drop slot, we have our disruptive creatures in Thalia and Kitesail Freebooter and Meddling Mage. Now these are kind of the backbone of the deck. Thalia and Kitesail Freebooter are very good against control style decks, or just decks that play a lot of non-creature stuff in general. Meddling Mage it's just a very obnoxious card, really. It can name something like Shatter the Sky against decks that play that, or it can name Questing Beast or something against the Gruul decks, and especially in games 2 and 3, you'll have more information about what it is that your opponent is doing, so it just gets better. We have Dauntless Bodyguard to protect our disruptive cards, like if we exile something under a Kitesail Freebooter, we can protect it with a Dauntless Bodyguard, or if we name something with Meddling Mage, we can protect it, and so on and so forth. Giant Killer is just a little bit of interaction. We have a couple more interactive cards up here. We'll get to those in a minute. But a Giant Killer is just, I feel like we want the 4-2 split here. We don't want to go too overboard on a card like this, because it's best if we can actually kill something with it. However, I mean, there are a couple of decks where the creature itself is really good. Like I see there's a blue-white Temporalist that plays Curious Obsession and Staggering Insight. For instance, it's pretty good at just keeping their enchanted creature unable to attack. Oops. We have just a couple Charming Princes here. It can blink Militia Bugler, for instance. I think I should talk about this card about now. I mean, it's kind of a centerpiece of the deck as well. It can hit every creature in the deck apart from General Kudrow. So yeah, the only non-human, I guess, is Deputy of Detention. So General Kudrow also makes sense to play, like, even though we can't hit him off of Bugler. But Bugler really helps the deck be very consistent, because you can find those Deputy of Detentions, you can find those Meddling Mages, you can find you can dig pretty deep in the deck after the stuff that you need. Okay, so for creature removal, we also have Hostage Takers and Deputy of Detention. I just mentioned the Deputy. Those are very nice because they are exile-based removal pieces, so they can also deal with something like an Ulamog that we just saw getting into the format. Sometimes General Kudrow is actually just winning the game by exiling the cards from the opponent's graveyard. Like, he just comes down on turn 3 and exiles their Uro or their Crux or something like that. And he can also generate value later on by sacrificing humans to destroy some big threat or something. So he's actually more than just a lord. However, he is legendary, so you can only have one of him in play. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we already talked about the mana base. I just also want to quickly mention here that every single land in the deck comes into play untapped. So that makes everything feel very smooth. Okay, so I think that was the main deck. Let's talk a little bit about the sideboard real quick. We have a puzzle of Purifying Light, just a bit more graveyard hate. There are a bunch of different decks in the format that relies on the graveyard, so it's quite nice. Dranith Magistrate, this card has been a house man. It's very good against everything that plays a companion, which is a lot of decks. And also against things like Uro or Croxa, or anything that tries to play off the top of the library as well. They're just like I find myself citing these in all the time. Then we have Brain Maggot, just a bit more hand disruption. That is creature based, which means we can't find it off of Bugler. Yeah, mostly for like the Yorion matchups and such. Timely Reinforcement, probably the best anti-aggressive card that we can play. In the gameplay videos, my sideboard is a little bit different, and I didn't realize that I had to play this card. So those slots are used differently there. But I swapped it to this. Definitely a good decision. I'm considering going up to the 4th, maybe cutting the Kenrith down here. He's not like there for a specific matchup or anything like that. He's just like if I feel like I want a little bit more grind in the deck, a little bit more late game value. Then we have a single crafty cut purse, because it's just a hilarious way of just completely hosing a Field of the Dead player. But I mean, I don't think, since I started playing Historic again, I don't think I've actually sided in the crafty cut purse a single time, because I haven't met a Field of the Dead deck. I don't know what I'm supposed to conclude off of that, but I guess I'll find out. But I'm curious to find out whether or not it's a card that's worth running in the sideboard. Also, if you enjoy the content, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, and maybe leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think about it. And with that out of the way, let's get to the gameplay. Alright, so we're playing some humans in Historic here, and I think this is a keepable hand since we don't know what the opponent is on. Temple Garden, okay. So play Watery Grave, tap, there you go. So Band, maybe Nexus. Let's just play Freebooter. Get a peek at their hand. It's a Growth Spiral. Maybe we can grab a Wilderness Reclamation or something here. Huh. Okay. So I guess I mean, they can just Brazen Borrower. I guess we just disrupt them a bit here, make it so that they can't go Tamio next turn if they top deck a land. It's an Uro. Okay, they find a land. That's fair. Play second Kitesail Freebooter. We have to grab Shadow the Sky, right? Or else they just get whatever bag. It's a shame we can't go for Wilderness Reclamation here, but we have to take Shadow. Human? And let's protect the one with the shatter under it. So we would really like to find something like Meddling Mage to name Nexus. It's Reclamation. Alright. So I assume they'll go ahead and Brazen Borrow or something here. Which is quite annoying. No, I'll actually name, because we don't have an Ancient Ziggurat, so I'll name Elemental so that we can play Jegantha. It's probably gonna be the play next turn. So, they have 2 cards in the bin, so they're not looking like they are escaping Uro anytime soon. So the problem really is the Brazen Borrower, because they will just, yeah, they'll just at end step here they'll bounce this, get back the shatter, and then sweep the board. So I guess we can't play anything else right now. We will just have to find Meddling Mage, something like that, so that we can disrupt the Nexus plan. But then again, we can play it next turn, so hopefully they don't just completely go off now and take a million turns and win the game with Nexus of Fate. But that might happen. That might happen. We do have some sideboard tools for this matchup though, so we'll see what happens in games 2 and 3. Teferi comes down, bounces. Nope. That makes it so that they can instant speed shatter. But this will just be an Nexus of Fate, right? Yep. They are pretty much out of cards though, so they'll have to find a Nexus somehow to keep the loop going, but yeah. This is not what I was hoping to face in Historic, and honestly it's not really a great deck with all the Gruul that's going around with Bone Crusher Giant and Questing Beast so that they can't fuck. Okay, they go ahead and fire off the Shatter. So they can't Thalia this turn. What will they do? Deputy of Detention, that's pretty good draw there. So let's freeboot it first. See if we can snag the Thalia again. That's really a problematic card if they get to stick that. That increases their odds of finding Nexus of Fate each turn with a lot. Okay, so it resolves. Let's see, Thassa's Intervention. Huh. Because if both of these cards help them find the Nexus, well, I guess we go for Thassa's Intervention. I mean, how many cards can they can take 3 cards now? Yeah, I guess this is just a one-time use, and Thalia will just keep sitting there and finding and digging after Nexus. So I think we take Thalia again, actually. However, this can now also counter the Deputy of Detention. Yeah, I guess I should have thought about that. But I think we have to go for it still. See if they counter. I mean, if they do, they can't use this to look for Nexus. So at least that's pretty neat. Okay, so they go ahead and fire off the counter. That's fair. They can still just bounce the Kitesail freebooter now with Teferi and then play the Tamio. So they had pretty much all the tools they needed to fight against our disruption, and we didn't really have much. So play Tamio. Alright. Nexus of Fate, doesn't find it. That is pretty sweet. So, oh, they have it. Never mind, they do find it. Now they have Uro mana, so they don't need to find much more to just end the game here. If I see another Nexus, I'll just scoop and go to the next game. Okay, they don't find it. Maybe it's in their hand again. Cycling Secluded Step there. Finds a castle. Probably just goes for escaping Uro now. See, now the Kitesail freebooter is not doing a lot. I guess we'll have to find like a hostage taker or something like that. Deputy of Detention maybe. Okay, they go for the draw with the Teferi. Like, that's one of the other cards we could have drawn early. That's pretty good in the matchup. So I guess we play freebooter. Have a look at their hand. Another Teferi, we'll grab that. Play Thalia. And I think we play Charming Prince and Scry. We need to find an answer for the Uro, so maybe that can help us do that. This won't work. Bottom. Your turn, opponent. Flash in the Brazen Borrower. Yep. So we are gonna take a lot of damage here. And we aren't gonna block, I think. Not this turn. Okay, they find another land. I mean, if they find a Nexus with Tamio, we just lose, I think. So I think we have to hope that we can find an answer next turn. Just take this damage. They grab a Shatter. Okay. They get the Teferi back. Yeah, I guess that's a problem. Does not look great here. Nexus? Nope, it's not a Nexus. So we will scry with the Charming Prince. Bugler. I guess we want one of them, but we don't want it to find a Bugler, we wanted to find like a Deputy of Detention or something like that. Or a Hostage Taker. So we just play Jegantha. It's not looking good though. It's really not looking good. They'll just escape Uro again and start drawing more cards and digging for Nexus with Tamio, and yeah. So we probably lose game 1 here. Yep, I'll concede. We can't handle any more Nexus there. That's such a miserable deck. So, I mean, Drannith Magistrate stops Uro, but I don't really know if that's kind of too narrow. I think we definitely want Brain Maggot. We want more hand disruption. What do we not want? Probably Giant Killer. We want to find Meddling Mage early on, I think, to name Shadow the Sky. But they also have Teferi and they also have a Brazen Borrower, so I guess they have kind of a lot of tools to fight through what we're trying to do, but we'll see. Charming Prince is probably not necessary in the matchup, so we can just like play one Dranith Magistrate. Do we want Dauntless Bodyguard? I think we do, to protect our stuff from Shadow the Sky. Yep. I think that's the plan here. Let's try that. Game 2. So this is a pretty decent hand. We can go Kitesail Freeboot and see what they have, and then use the Meddling Mages to stop whatever they can play. And with General Kudro, we will also be able to put a lot of pressure on them rather quickly, so hopefully this will work. Temple Garden. Let's have a look at the hand. Huh. And they have the Brazen Borrow again. I think I have to name Petty Theft next turn then. I will grab a Nexus, I think. Or is that stupid? Yeah, I'll grab Nexus, and next turn I'll play Meddling Mage naming Petty Theft. Human. And then the turn after that I can play this and name Wilderness Reclamation. Oh. Petty Theft. Yep. So now they can't bounce anything, which is pretty neat. Thinking. Okay. So we can still be in a lot of trouble if they just find a Shadow of the Sky or something like that. And then all of our disruption is just gone. Yeah, I do still think we have to... Ziggurat is pretty good. I don't know if Wilderness Reclamation is going to be a problem here. I mean, it's only really a big issue if they have Nexus. So I guess this name is Shadow of the Sky. Maybe it's wrong, but I'll try to name Shadow of the Sky here. And just let them have the Wilderness Reclamation. Yup. So I think we go with General Kudro. It's also a pretty good card in the matchup because it lets us exile Uro from the graveyard. Okay, they go for the counter, decline, since we can't actually pay for that. So I think this protects the one that says Shadow the Sky. Or I don't really know. I guess the Kitesail Freebooter actually, because then it can trade with the Brazen Borrow when that becomes relevant, and yeah. So they'll probably just play the second Wilderness Reclamation here. I mean, it's really just not a problem if they can't do anything with it. Okay, they tap all their mana. Are they just gonna fire off? Oh, they have a Nexus. Okay. But I mean, their odds of finding more Nexus is probably pretty slim. My turn. Nice joke, Arena. They played the Fairy, that's a problem. Now they can bounce the Meddling Mages and get their things back. They can bounce Kitesail Freebooter. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's not looking good. It's probably gonna be a loss. Now they have way too much mana because of Wilderness Reclamation. So yeah, even though we had like a decent amount of disruption, they just happened to naturally draw into the things that they needed, I guess. They play the Nexus. That's fair. See if they can keep going. Why don't they play the Brazen Borrower, though? I don't really get that. Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. They play a Hollowed Fountain, so they're down to 1 card. So I guess we just play this out. Like, this is also pretty good against these Wilderness Reclamations now. Okay, snag the Shatter. So now it doesn't really matter if they bounce this. So I do want to get rid of the Teferi, but yeah, I guess they'll bounce. If I attack, they will bounce the one that's naming Shatter. Or, well, will they block? No, they can't bounce anything, so they'll just... if I just attack with this Dauntless Bodyguard and the one that's naming Petty Theft. Huh. They can't bounce anything, and they can't block either of those with a Brazen Borrower, so I do get to get rid of the Teferi here. Actually, I can just attack with one of them, right? The other one can go face. And I don't see why this can't go face either. I'm guessing I'm forgetting that this can't block things that don't fly. So he should not be able to do anything about this, right? Okay. Let's just make sure that he can't just... Like, if he finds like a Thassa's Intervention or something, that he can't just fire it off for 1 billion mana into Nexus. Okay, so we're looking pretty fine now. Pretty fine. They found a Growth Spiral. It's not a land. And we got there. Okay. So on to sideboarding, and then we'll head into game 3. Do we want anything else here? No, I don't think so. The only thing I'm thinking right now is that Hostage Taker doesn't look exciting. Its only actual target is probably Uro, or I guess you could target Brazen Borrower as well. But I mean, I'd probably go down to 1 Hostage Taker and go up the Drained Magistrates. Just because, you know, it lowers the curve and makes it so that they can't play Uro. Yeah. Okay, so we have a Kitesail Freebooter, so I think we keep this. We also have the Dauntless Bodyguard on turn 1, so we can actually start swinging in for a bit of damage. It's quite annoying, you have to click through that, just because you can sack this to do nothing. But I guess that's how magic works. Okay, so name human, play Kitesail Freebooter. It resolves. Okay, so they have a billion growth spirals and a wilderness reclamation, and that's it. So if we just take reclamation here, they are down to pretty much nothing. And hopefully we can start finding some Meddling Mage with the Bugler and naming Shadow the Sky, so that we can just go ham, fill up the board. It's looking decent so far. Play out a passage, pass the turn. Another unclaimed territory. I guess we'll name Elemental, since we don't have any Ziggurats in play there yet. Play Bugler. So we find a Deputy of Detention. I'm actually considering the Dauntless Bodyguard to protect the Kitesail Freebooter, so that a Shadow the Sky doesn't mean they just get their wilderness reclamation back. This is actually a tough call. This also feels weak, I guess. Maybe we just go for the Bugler and have another go at it next turn. I think we'll try that. And swing in with the dudes. Fire off the second growth spiral. Hinterland Harbor. I do like the mana in Historic. That's it's really nice that you can build a reasonable mana base where most of the time your lands come into play untapped. Just it just feels good, man. That's especially true for this deck that I'm playing, with the Unclaimed Territory and the Ancient Ziggurat. It feels like just playing tri-lands with no drawback at all. Okay, so they find Teferi. I didn't see, did they drop a land this turn? I assume they did, so that they can play Wilderness Reclamation now. No. Okay. Does it mean they have a counterspell for Freebooter? They could have... I mean, even if they have Thassa's Intervention now, I can pay for it. So I guess we just run it out again. Dispute, I can't pay for. I guess we have to resolve that. Play Drenth Magistrate. I guess we have to hope we can dodge Shadow the Sky now. But I mean, we do have a bit more gas, and like they don't have all the time in the world to just start playing Reclamation and dirtling around. They kind of have to do something. So hopefully they won't be able to just loop it here. Huh. And it's a land. Okay, so they're down to top deck mode here. Hopefully they just find a land. Ratchet Bomb. Okay. So that's really not an issue. They put a charge counter on it. Fair enough. So it actually looks like we're gonna get the win here. We could just run out Jegantha. Like this is happening for sure. We just attack, right? But I guess we have lethal on board. So this has one counter. So we can get rid of the bodyguard. I guess we're pretty safe just playing Bugler here. If we can find a Meddling Mage, that would be awesome. We don't want any of this. I'll just take the Deputy, I guess. Alright. What do you got, opponent? Okay, so looks like we did it. Alright, we are here playing some more humans in Historic, and this is probably a pretty good opening hand. Kitesail, Freebooter and Meddling Mage are usually good to have together, because we can play out the Freebooter first and then get a peek on their hand. So let's just play this named Human. I mean, I guess it's probably correct to just play the island. Now they know we're humans. Probably not gonna matter too much. Glacial Fortress. So I guess we just go for the Kitesail Freebooter here. Alright, it's some kind of control. So we probably take to ferry. Do we? Yeah, I guess we do. Just take to ferry. Okay, so let's see if they go for this will name Elemental, I think. Let's see if they try to counter the Militia Bugler, or if they just go for the Shatter next turn. They go for the counter, it seems. Okay. So hopefully that means that we can just say Shatter the Sky with a Meddling Mage. Let's try that. They find a counter magic spell. They find counter magic. Neutralize. Alright. Play Hollowed Fountains, they go. Okay. So if they want the Teferi back, they'll have to Shatter the Sky that's Kitesail Freebooter. Which is... it's okay, I guess. But we can't really Deputy anything or something like that. I guess we just try to find another Meddling Mage. So if we take Meddling Mage, we say Shatter, and we know about Settle, so it won't be too problematic to play around that. Shatter. So let's see. I think we swing Ad Nauset here. So it'll die off of the second activation. They find a Chemist's Insight. But I mean, we can really only attack with the Militia Bugler now. Because we don't want anything else exiled. If they get back to Teferi, they can bounce the Meddling Mage and so on. So this is the only one that gets the swing. However, we will just play Jegantha now. Start the clock, I guess. Let's just play the Watery Grave. There you go. Oh, it's a big Teferi. So they draw a card. Untap 2 lands. So that means they're off Settle the Wreckage for this turn. Huh. That's quite a lot of mana here. That's unfortunate. What? Fair enough. They just scoop it up. Huh. Okay. So let's see, it's just blue-white control. I guess we want more hand disruption against that, so Brain Maggots go in. Deputy felt kinda meh. And I think Hostage Taker is completely meh. So we take that out. They don't seem to be playing a companion, so Duranith Magistrate is probably pretty pointless. However, I think Lavabrink Venture is actually pretty good because it dodges both 3 mana and 5 mana to Teferi. And then I'm considering Kenrith. But yeah, I think Giant Killer is probably bad, and Deputy. Go down to 3 Deputies and go up the 2 Kenrith. Yep. Okay, game 2 up against the Wings here. We are playing some humans in Historic, and this is a good opening hand since we have Thalia on turn 2. It's gonna make it awkward for them to try to counter things, so we've got that going. Castle Ardenvale. Okay, so that's red mana. So it might be Jeskai. It seems to be Jeskai. We just only saw blue and white cards last game. So play Thalia. And the reason I play Thalia first, before Meddling Mage here, is that first of all they can Mystical Dispute the Meddling Mage. They can't do that to Thalia. And it also makes it harder for them to counter the Meddling Mage the following turn, and this is just as aggressively statted attack-wise, so that's fine. It's also pretty good that we have the Kenrith. So I guess we just play out the Meddling Mage and try to say Shadow the Sky. But that's usually just the #1 card to name in these kind of matchups, to just prevent a complete blowout. Like, it's not as bad if they just play a Teferi and bounce it or something like that. Okay, they get rid of the Ancient Ziggurat. I'm okay with that. Let's just grab a Plains. Trying to keep us off Jegantha. Okay, so they play 4 mana Teferi. Bounce what, Meddling Mage? That's fair. I think we just play it out again. Oh, we get a Brain Maggot here. So let's play that first. See the hand. Okay, so they do in fact have a Shadow the Sky. Elspeth Conquers Death. I don't know why they play Veto, because we don't play any non-creature stuff, so this is pretty much just a dead card. Teferi costs 6, not that frightening, honestly, and we can answer it with a Deputy once it hits the battlefield. But I guess, I mean, the Meddling Mage is gonna name Shadow the Sky, and this is probably just gonna grab Teferi, right? Then this also does pretty much nothing right now. We don't have any actual targets for it. So grab Teferi, play Ancient Ziggurat, play Meddling Mage, say Shadow the Sky. Let's just kill Teferi for good measure here. And we got there. 2-0 against blue-white control. Alright, we are here in game 3, playing some Historic Humans, and we're up against Yumi Q, and this looks like a decent opening hand, so we'll try to keep it. They have no companion over there, so that's gonna be interesting. Probably Nexus or something like that. Oh, we have a little bit of lag here. Maybe it's the, yeah, it's probably the blue-white tempo thing that's starting to pop up. Do we play the bodyguard here? I'm not sure we do. Yeah, I guess we have to just try to curve out. I think that's probably gonna be the most successful plan here. Okay, so tapped blue mana, pass the turn. Thalia is pretty good. So can we name anything meaningful with Meddling Mage now? What do we name? Like Curious Obsession or the blue-white, the 2-mana one? The name escapes me right now. Like, shouldn't this deck be playing lures though? I think that's the usual plan for them. I'm really not sure what to name with it. Maybe we just lead on Thalia. I think we'll try that. And I think I just tried to swing with the bodyguard. Maybe they're fine with this trade. Seems they are. Another Ornithopter. So I guess Deputy of Detention is probably a good play now. Thalia means they probably also can't counter it, so I guess we just try to Deputy the Ornithopters away. Start getting in there with Thalia. So this is looking pretty fine so far. Yeah, I really don't know what to name with a Meddling Mage. Maybe, I don't know, do they play Brazen Borrow or something like that? That would be pretty annoying if they bounce the Deputy, but then again, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I really don't know what they play. I'm used to the builds that play lures, but the fact that they don't means that they get access to, you know, 3-mana things like Teferi or Brazen Borrow and things like that. So, maybe I just play Kudrow here. Try to clog them a bit more. Okay, that'll force the scoop right there. So, sideboard against blue-white tempo. What do we want? Not really much, I guess. Maybe more hand disruption. Like, the giant killers are probably pretty good in the matchup, because if they put Curious Obsession or Staggering Insight is the name of the card, if they put that on something, this can just sit and tap it down. It's pretty much nothing I want. Is there anything I want to get out of my deck? Charming Prince doesn't seem exciting. Yeah, well, I guess we can... Oh, so... Oops. We can go down the 2 Charming Prince and go up to Brain Maggots. I think that's probably fine. So we have the Giant Killer into Thalia or Brain Maggot. That seems like a pretty good opening hand here. Okay, planes do nothing. So let's play Giant Killer. Will they do something? Stone Coil on 2, an Ornithopter. That's fine. I think it's a shame we can't Deputy the Stone Coil. That card can actually be a bit problematic for us to deal with. Let's just Brain Maggot first. However, we do have the Giant Killer, which can tap it down, so that's one of the better things we can do. Skilled Animator. Okay, so I guess we take the Skilled Animator and... Do we take the Tempered Steel? Like, whichever one we take now, they'll play the other one. So I guess this means that they get a damage boost of 4 for next turn, and this means they get a damage boost for 5 next turn. So I guess we take the Skilled Animator, and then we're trying to exile this with the Deputy the following turn. We will not block anything here. So, Deputy, get rid of Tempered Steel. Get in there for 2. Glass Casket, that's a problem. That's a really big problem. Cause, okay, we do get to start tapping this down. Which means we can only play Thalia and not Dauntless Bodyguard now. Oh, we can't play the Ziggurat now because we can't use that mana to activate abilities. So I guess we have to think about that. This is not going to do any blocking anyway, so we might as well just get the 1 damage in there. Okay, so it's a artifact, blue-white artifact deck. I think we're dead. I think we're dead. Yeah, even though we just tap this down, we go to 1 if we don't block with Thalia. Oh, we can't? No, we can't block that. Ooh, Hostage Taker. That can potentially be pretty good here. It has trample. I would have liked to see a Deputy. Is there any way out of this? Like, if we play Hostage Taker, we can't activate Giant Killer. But I guess we can. If we Hostage Taker on... No. Yeah, maybe if we do this. No, because I can just... this goddamn... Yeah, we're dead. The Ginger Brood was too much, because you can just make it unblockable. Okay, so artifacts. Do we want to change anything? Like this can potentially be an okay card. Yeah, I think we'll just have to rely on our 2-mana disruptive things to do the job here. I don't think I want to change anything. I think this is fine. 0 lands is not gonna get the job done, unfortunately, so we have to mulligan. This, however, looks pretty decent. We will keep this. We will ship a Godless Shrine. Brain Maggot turn 2 is probably gonna be good here. It could mean that they can't Stonecoil Serpent, for instance. They can if they do it on turn 1 here. Ooh, that's a good draw. Ancient Ziggurat, let's play Brain Maggot. Have a look at your hand. Yikes, that's a lot of Steel Overseer. I guess it's not a big deal because we have the Deputy, so I guess we take Psy. Yep, let's do that. and swing with the bodyguard. Okay, so I'm actually pretty positive about how things are looking right now, because we don't mind these steel overseers. Hostage taker, that's great as well. Okay, so attack with the bodyguard. I don't think they'll do this trade here. So play bugler. More hostage taker or more dauntless bodyguard? Like, I would like to just take the General Kudrow here, but unfortunately that's not an option. It's actually kind of a tough call. I guess it's problematic taking the hostage taker and not finding the fourth land. Since we find 3 non-land cards here, I think the odds of drawing another land sooner than later is probably... I think the odds are fine. And we do have the deputy play for next turn here. I'll probably run out the second steel overseer. Yep. Playing right into the deputy. That's totally perfect. And the ornithopter as well. What is this? Locthwain Gargoyle. Sure. Well, ain't that a trash card? Okay. There's the land. So we go for deputy this turn. That probably means the game is ours. Yep, they get some counters. Doesn't matter. I mean, I guess it means we can't attack this turn, but that's not an issue actually. So we can just start stealing their things now. Venerated Loxodon? Alright. Huh. I wonder if I can... I haven't actually tried this before, but let's see if we hostage take the Venerated Loxodon. Can we convoke it out? Like just tap all 5 creatures? That's insane, dude. Damn. We got there.